My first impression is this is gonna be tough. I'm describing so many wines right now. Welcome to Vino Blind, where we sit down and we blind taste a wine together. We kind of go through the process. So I've got all these notes here. I can take you through the step-by-step I do. If you haven't watched our how to blind taste videos, I'd highly recommend watching those first because those give the theory of what we're gonna talk about in detail. And this is kind of more of a how to execute video. That being said, I've got a white wine here. It's our first of today's session and I'm excited to dive in, so let's do it. From a color perspective, this is a straw to yellow. Maybe a little bit of kind of rim variation, a watery rim. That might tell me a little bit about the age. The straw to yellow kind of character leads me to believe that this is maybe a wine that has some oxygen in it, or maybe kind of a richer style of wine, less like lean, but we won't know that until we really dive in. You know my rule, the first smell on the nose is, in my opinion, the most important. You get your first impressions out of it. So here we go. All right, my first impression is this is gonna be tough. Like I get apples and citrus and stone fruit, and that could be a whole lot of wines. There's no obvious giveaways right away, you know, petrol for Riesling or something like that. So this is gonna be a tough one, I think, which is fine. I'm up for a challenge. On the nose in particular, let's get intensity, medium, good minerality. Now that I dive in again, good kind of clean minerality. From a fruit perspective, lots of citrus, lemon peel, not so much like tart lime, but like lemon. And then I get apples and I get a little bit of kind of peach character as well. So we're in that like lean to medium range, at least on the nose as far as fruit. Remember, your white fruits go citrus, and then they go apples, and then they go stone fruit, and then they go tropical. I'm not in tropical, I don't think. So that puts me on this side of the spectrum as far as climate and things like that. The fruit character, ripe, fresh. Maybe the citrus is a tad like, you know, that gives me a little bit of that tart, that kind of underripeness. But then and same thing, I don't think the stone fruit's like really developed. So I get any floral, maybe a little white flowers, but it's definitely not, you know, this isn't an aromatic wine, right? I'm not getting this big perfumey pop out kind of thing. Okay, let's get in on the palate. I'm describing so many wines right now. You know, this could be a lot of things. So let's get in on the palate. That was the first sip of the day. I brushed my teeth a little bit ago, so we're gonna do it again. Ooh, juicy. Okay, very, very juicy. Flavor is the first thing I'll ask is like, is there anything new? Not really. That citrus though, man, it's a lot of citrus. Is there any sugar? No, this is a bone dry wine. No oak presence either. You notice I'm not talking, I didn't get on the nose, I'm not getting on the palate. You know, I didn't talk vanilla, I didn't talk baking spice, I didn't talk anything like that. I didn't talk malolactic fermentation. The acid is through the roof. Really, really juicy, right? It's almost like I sucked on a lemon and I get that mouth, my mouth is really salivating even after I sip. So lots and lots of acid. The body is medium, for sure. It's just got some weight to it. The alcohol, medium. My gut would say this is 13%, which is actually, I guess, maybe medium plus for a white. Finish and complexity. Definitely medium minus. I'm not getting a whole lot out of this, if I'm being honest. Not getting a whole lot of different flavors and components. I've talked about it pretty much. Apples and acid, as I say. Apples and acid and citrus. A little bit of flowers. One thing I am getting from a flavor standpoint that I didn't mention earlier, I'm getting some bitterness. And I'm pretty sure that's some phenolic bitterness. Phenolic bitterness is kind of like the tannin of white wine. Gives the white wine a little bit of backbone, a little bit of structure. It's bitter. It's literally a little bit of bitterness on the finish. And that can tell us a little bit about which grape it might be. All right, so let's talk about, is this an old world or a new world wine? And if you've been watching any of these other videos that I posted, this is the hardest part for me always to pick. I think this is an old world wine. And the reason I'm saying that is because old worlds tend to have more cooler climates, and this has cool climate tendencies. It's got a lot of acidity. I am getting a good amount of minerality. So I think this is an old world cool climate wine, at least for now. I'm gonna revisit that when I go through the grapes. But let's go through our grapes and determine what it isn't, right? This is deductive tasting. So we're trying to get rid of options first, and then we'll hone in on what it is. Albarino could definitely be Albarino. I'll come back to why I think it might be that, but is it Chardonnay? It could theoretically be Chablis, but the weight to me is a little heavy for Chablis. It could be Chablis. I'm not really getting the chalkiness. The bitterness though, Chardonnay wouldn't have that bitterness. I'm gonna say no. It could be Chablis. It doesn't have any of the hallmark oak or malolactic fermentation. It definitely doesn't have any tropical notes that would happen from a riper Californian Chardonnay. Chablis is from Northern Burgundy. It tends to have no oak, and it would have this, might have this body. The thing that would give me the giveaway for Chablis is Camaragian soils make this chalky minerality. And I don't know if I get that a ton, and then also that bitterness is not a Chardonnay character. So I'm gonna say it's not Chardonnay, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Chablis. Is it Chenin Blanc? No, fruit character doesn't match up to Chenin Blanc. And I'm not getting any of the waxy or the honey or the lanolin or any of those things I sometimes get. Is it Gewürztraminer? No way, not floral at all. Is it Gruner? No, too much body. This like medium body is too heavy, I think, for Gruner. I also don't get any vegetable notes. I don't get any white pepper. Is it Pinot Gris? Could be. We'll come back to that. Is it Riesling? No, no way. Way too heavy a body. No, none of the aromatics that come with Riesling. Is it Sauv Blanc? No. I don't get any gooseberry. I don't get any green. Is it Torrontés? No, not aromatic enough. Is it Viognier? No, not aromatic enough. So we're actually down to 2 grapes. We're not doing bad. It's Albarino or it's Pinot Gris, in my opinion. If it's Albarino, it's from Rías, Baixas, Spain. And if it's Pinot Gris, it's from Friuli in Italy, or it's from Alsace in France. Okay, now we have to land on our final conclusion. What would make the difference between Albarino or Pinot Gris? Both would have that phenolic bitterness, so that doesn't help me determine anything, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping I would get some clues from that, but both would have that. Biggest difference I can think of with Albarino is I would get a salinity from the ocean. It's close to the ocean and it's got a hallmark salinity. And then from a body perspective, I think Albarino would be lighter, but there are examples of richer style Albarinos. But richer style Albarinos usually come from aging on the lees. It comes like a creaminess, not a body. And this has some weight to me. But Pinot Gris would have the phenolic bitterness, it would have the weight. Do I get the salinity? The salinity would be the main thing. If I'm getting salinity, it's Albarino, right? Because you don't get that quite as much with Pinot Grigio or Pinot Gris. Maybe a bit. I might expect Albarino to give me more of that peachy flavor. And I am getting that. Hey, you guys picked some curveballs. You guys, the Riesling, I guess, wasn't a curveball. That was an easy one, so I gotta have some hard ones in here, right?
Maybe I picked another Italian wine. Maybe I picked something
we visited, right? I should know both these wines because I've got an Italian crew and we've been to Rías Baixas. Let's just go over this one more time. Albarino would be salty and, in my opinion, riper, but it all depends where it's from. Pinot Grigio. I don't think this is Alsatian Pinot Gris. I don't think the alcohol is quite high enough. It could be. Man, this is hard. Like Alsatian Pinot Gris and Albarino, like, how do you differentiate those? All right, I'm gonna have to go with my gut. I do think I'm getting a little bit of that salinity. I may just be talking myself into it, but I do think I'm getting it. And that would be a key of Albarino to me. Here's what we're gonna say. We're gonna say it's Albarino from Rías Baixas. I think this is $19 bottle of wine, and I think it's young. I think it's a 2021 vintage. Final answer, Albarino from Rías Baixas, $19, 2021 vintage.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, we will see now. Obviously, the reveal is the most exciting part. Ready? Oh, I got it! Boom! It was the salinity. All right, I'm into it. What year is it? 2020, 1 year off. How much was this? This is actually, I think, a little bit more pricey bottle. I know the producer.
around 20 or 22.
Yeah. All right, so I was able to get it. You know, what gave it away was, at the end of the day, the salinity. It's not hugely pronounced, but it is there. And that's the one thing that, you know, to me is one of the biggest differences between a Gris or Grigio and an Albarino. This Grand Bazin makes great wines. They're one of our producers actually from our episode, though I haven't had this wine from them. I think this is their entry-level stuff. Delicious wine. I was able to get, the year too, I was only a year off. I mean, this just drinks like a young wine, but really delicious stuff. I'm happy I got it. I'm now 4 of 6. I would say 4.5 because I got really close on the other 2. So I'm 4.5 of 6. I'm feeling good. I hope this helped you kind of learn how we can deduce. And I think what's important is that, like, even if I'd gotten it wrong at the end, I would have been okay with it because I would have got really close. And that's the most important thing, is you learn how to hone in your skills. I might spend some time on the internet saying, all right, how can I better determine Albarino versus Gris or Grigio? And for that matter, Gris versus Grigio. How do I determine Alsatian Gris versus Italian Pinot Grigio? So that would be the area if I'm gonna work on something personally, that's where I work. But thanks again, good to see you guys, and we will do this again in the next video. See you soon.